There comes a moment in life, not loud, not dramatic, when we quietly realize that most of the chaos around us is not entirely external. It's not just the economy, it's not just other people, it's not just fate. It's us. It's what we allow, what we tolerate, what we ignore, and what we indulge in. That moment, small, humbling, and powerful, is the beginning of control, real control, not over others but over ourselves. We spend so much time trying to fix the world around us, hoping something will shift, a relationship, a boss, a break. But transformation doesn't begin when the world changes. It begins when we do. And it starts when we take control of four invisible, yet immensely powerful things: our thoughts, our emotions, our words, and our habits. Master these, and you change everything. Let's begin with thoughts. They're so fleeting, so quiet, yet they guide every decision we make. We think we act based on logic, but in truth we act based on the stories we tell ourselves, stories born from our thoughts. If you wake up and think, "I'm not enough," your day will unfold in defense of that belief. You won't speak up, you won't take the risk, you won't see opportunity, not because the opportunity isn't there, but because your thoughts blurred your vision. Imagine this. Two people walk into the same room, facing the same challenge. One sees possibility, the other sees disaster. The room didn't change, the challenge didn't change, their thoughts did. That's the power of perception. If you can learn to challenge your thoughts, not suppress them, but challenge them, you begin to rewrite the story. And when you rewrite the story, you redirect your life. I remember meeting a young man who was convinced he'd never amount to anything because he grew up in poverty. His father was in and out of jail. His school told him he'd never graduate. Every thought in his head was borrowed from someone else's opinion of him. But one day, he heard a different thought, a quiet one, almost missed. It said, "What if they're wrong?" That one thought changed his trajectory. He clung to it, he fed it, he watered it with action. Today, he runs a program that mentors kids from the same neighborhood he grew up in. His thoughts didn't match his environment. He changed them anyway. Controlling your thoughts doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means refusing to let negative narratives run on autopilot. It means catching the moment when you say, "I can't," and replacing it with, "How can I?" It means questioning the script that says, "This is just who I am," and asking, "But who do I want to be?" Now let's talk about emotions. They're the undercurrent of everything we do. They drive our responses, our tone, our presence. And yet, most of us are emotionally reactive, not emotionally aware. We let our feelings sit in the driver's seat and wonder why we keep crashing into the same wall. It's not that emotions are bad, they're vital, they're signals, but they were never meant to be commands. Just because you feel angry doesn't mean you need to yell. Just because you feel anxious doesn't mean you should run away. Emotions are messengers, not masters. When you learn to acknowledge them without being owned by them, you begin to operate from a place of strength. I remember being in a room where a leader was getting torn apart during a team meeting. The pressure was high, people were frustrated, he could have snapped, he could have defended, he could have shut down. But he didn't, he paused, he breathed, and then he said, "I hear you, and I want to fix this with you." That response didn't come from his fear. It didn't come from his ego. It came from emotional control. That's what leadership looks like. Not control over others, but mastery over yourself. Emotional control doesn't mean suppression. It means regulation. It means being able to feel anger and still choose kindness. It means feeling fear and still taking the next step. It means acknowledging sadness without falling apart. You become powerful not by avoiding emotions, but by choosing your response in the presence of them. And here's the truth. People feel your emotional presence. They remember how you made them feel more than what you said. When you walk into a room with centered energy, with grounded calmness, people trust you without even knowing why. That's the kind of invisible power that changes lives. The third thing you must learn to control is your words. Words shape worlds. They are the bridge between what you think and what others feel. One sentence can build someone up or tear them down. One conversation can change a life or end a relationship. And it's not just what you say to others, it's what you say to yourself. I once sat with a woman who had just gotten out of a toxic relationship. She was successful, smart, and driven, but her words, especially the ones she said to herself, were brutal. I'm so stupid. I let this happen. No one will ever love me again. She didn't need someone else to hurt her. Her inner voice was doing it daily. We all do it. We all have that inner critic. But the truth is, we can rewrite the script. Speak to yourself like someone you deeply respect. When you mess up, say, that wasn't like me, instead of, I'm such a failure. When you feel stuck, say, I'm in a transition, instead of, I'm lost. Your words become your reality. If you want to change your life, change your language. And when it comes to speaking to others, control doesn't mean silence. It means intention. Don't just say what's on your mind. Say what will move the moment forward. Say what will heal, what will guide, what will build. I've seen relationships saved with a single phrase, I was wrong. I've seen tension dissolve when someone said, help me understand. I've seen courage in the form of 3 simple words. I need help. Words are free. Use them wisely. Compliment more. Judge less. Share your truth without weaponizing it. Apologize quickly. Appreciate loudly. And most of all, speak in alignment with the person you're becoming, not the person you used to be. Lastly, habits. If thoughts are the seeds and emotions the soil and words the water, then habits are the sunlight. Without them, nothing grows. It's not what you do occasionally that changes your life. It's what you do consistently. Your habits are the proof of what you truly believe. You say you want to get healthy, but do you move daily? You say you want to grow, but do you read, reflect, and seek mentorship? You say you want deep relationships, but do you listen or just talk? Habits reveal everything, and the most powerful ones are often the smallest. I once knew a man who was stuck in life. He was exhausted, bitter, drifting. We started simple. Every morning he'd wake up and make his bed. That was it. Nothing spiritual about it. Just one act of order. Then he added 5 minutes of journaling. Then he replaced 1 hour of TV with reading. Then he began walking after dinner. Slowly, he built a rhythm, and one day he looked up and realized he wasn't the same man anymore. He didn't need a breakthrough, he needed better habits. People think habits are about productivity. They're not. They're about identity. Every time you follow through on a positive habit, you're proving to yourself that you're capable, that you're becoming, that you're in motion, and the more you show up, the more momentum you build. That momentum turns into belief. That belief turns into transformation. Let's not overcomplicate it. If you control your habits, you control your outcomes. Build the habit of showing up early, of saying thank you, of moving your body, of putting your phone down, of staying curious, of asking the hard questions. Stack one habit on top of another until your life feels like it belongs to someone who respects themselves. All 4 of these things, your thoughts, emotions, words, and habits, are invisible. No one sees them when they begin to shift. There's no applause for changing the way you think. There's no audience when you regulate your anger instead of exploding. There's no parade when you choose your words carefully. And no one throws a party when you wake up early to build your dream. But over time, these invisible choices create visible results. The beauty of control is that it doesn't require perfection. It just requires practice. You don't need to master your thoughts forever, just for the next 5 minutes. You don't need to be emotionally strong every day, just in the next hard conversation. You don't need to speak perfectly, just with intention. You don't need to overhaul your entire life, Just build one strong habit at a time. We spend so much time wishing things were different, wishing we had more money, more time, more love, but the most powerful change happens not when we wish, but when we work with what we already have. And what we have is ourselves, and if we can control ourselves, we can shape the world we live in. You're not powerless, you're not stuck, you're not waiting on anyone, you're already holding the levers of transformation. Grab them, use them. Reclaim your life one thought, one emotion, one word, one habit at a time. Because once you do, the world doesn't have to change. You will. And that will be enough to change everything around you. The way you think shapes how you experience the world. Your thoughts are not just background noise. They are the lens through which you see opportunity or limitation. By challenging negative mental scripts and replacing them with empowering alternatives, you shift your decisions, your direction, and ultimately your destiny. Emotions are messengers, not commands. Real strength is emotional regulation, not suppression, but choosing your response in the middle of discomfort. Mastering this allows you to lead with clarity, stay centered under pressure, and show up with intention instead of impulse. Words build or break. They influence how others perceive you and how you perceive yourself. By speaking to yourself with self-respect and speaking to others with empathy and precision, you begin to shape reality through your language. Your words can empower your identity or sabotage it. Your habits reveal who you really are and what you truly believe. It's not the big, occasional actions that define you, but the small, consistent choices made daily. Build intentional habits that reflect your values, and your life will begin to reflect your highest potential. Control your thoughts, reframe your inner narrative. It's easy to believe that thoughts are harmless because they're invisible. No one hears them, no one sees them, they're just between you and yourself. But that's exactly why they're so powerful. Because if left unchecked, your thoughts become the architects of your limitations. Every hesitation you feel, every dream you talk yourself out of, every moment of doubt, it all starts in your mind. You think a certain way long enough and you begin to believe it's just who you are. But it's not who you are, it's who you've practiced being. Every thought you allow becomes easier to repeat. The mind works on patterns. You get good at what you practice. If you keep rehearsing fear, you get really good at avoiding risk. If you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, your brain will start filtering reality to confirm that belief. That's the mechanism. Your brain seeks consistency. So if your dominant thought is that you're a failure, it will highlight every setback and downplay every win just to stay aligned with that belief. But here's the good news. Just like you can condition negative thought patterns, you can condition new ones. It starts with awareness, hearing your own voice in real time and questioning it, not judging it, just noticing. If your thought says, "I'm not good at this," pause and ask, according to whom? If it says, "This won't work," respond with, "Why not?" That moment of mental resistance is where the transformation begins. Think about a child learning to walk. If every time they fell they thought, "I'm not meant for this," they'd never learn to stand, but they don't have that belief system yet. They don't label failure as identity. They try, fall, try again. That's the mindset we lose over time. We replace experimentation with self-judgment, and that judgment is driven by thought. You can't control the first thought, but you can absolutely control the second and the third, and from there, the direction shifts. When you catch yourself spiraling into negative thinking, stop and reframe. If you think, "I'm terrible at this," try, "I'm just not skilled at it yet." That one word, "yet," gives your mind permission to grow instead of shrink. That's the beginning of mental leadership. What's powerful is this: when you take control of your thoughts, you don't just change your self-perception. You change your energy. You show up differently. You take risks you wouldn't have. You speak up when you used to stay quiet. You walk into rooms with confidence instead of apology. People begin to treat you according to the energy you carry, and that begins a feedback loop that reinforces your growth. This is not about delusion. It's not about toxic positivity. It's about training your mind to see possibility where you used to see barriers. The obstacle is still there, but so is the path forward. If your mind can't see it, your body won't take the first step. But once your thoughts are aligned with growth, the steps become inevitable. And with every step, you prove to yourself that your old story wasn't the truth. It was just a habit. And you can choose better ones. Control your emotions. Respond, don't react. We've been taught that emotional people are weak, that if you show vulnerability, you've lost power, but in truth, the opposite is true. Emotional maturity is not the absence of feeling. It's the ability to understand your feelings without being hijacked by them, and that's a skill. It's a skill that very few people are taught, and even fewer take time to develop. The problem isn't that we feel things. The problem is that we let our feelings become our identity. You feel afraid, so you assume you're a coward. You feel angry, so you assume you're aggressive. But feelings are like weather. Just because it's raining doesn't mean you're a storm. Just because you feel heavy doesn't mean you're broken. You are the sky, not the cloud. Emotional control is about staying grounded in the storm. When someone disrespects you, your first impulse might be to lash out. That's normal, but control is the moment between the stimulus and your response. It's the pause, that breath, that grounding, that tiny internal check-in where you ask yourself, is this who I want to be? The greatest leaders I've ever seen weren't the loudest. They weren't the ones who always had the answer. They were the ones who stayed emotionally calm when others fell apart. Their calmness didn't come from not caring. It came from caring enough to not be reactive. When someone shows you their frustration and you meet it with compassion instead of escalation, that's emotional intelligence. That's what earns trust. That's what builds real influence. Now, let's be honest. It's hard. Especially when the emotions are justified, when you've been wronged, when you're exhausted, when you're scared. It's easier to react. It takes discipline to respond with intention, but that's where the power lies. In choosing how you show up regardless of how you feel. And the more you do it, the stronger that muscle becomes. There's a reason people remember how you made them feel more than what you said. Because emotion is contagious. If you show up agitated, they absorb that. If you show up calm, they feel safe. This isn't about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally responsible. It's about holding your emotional space so you don't bleed your inner chaos onto the people around you. And perhaps most importantly, it's about giving yourself permission to feel without letting the feeling define your identity. You can be sad and still strong. You can be angry and still kind. You can be overwhelmed and still capable. Emotional control doesn't make you less human. It makes you more aware of your humanity. Control your words. Speak with purpose and compassion. Words are invisible architecture. Every word you speak either builds or breaks something. A belief, a relationship, a moment. We've all had a sentence echo in our head for years. Something someone said in passing that either uplifted us or crushed us. Words stick, and what sticks shapes us. We often speak without realizing the weight of our words. A sarcastic joke here, a passive-aggressive remark there, a sharp critique we didn't filter. But words carry energy, and that energy doesn't disappear just because we move on. It lingers, it lands, and sometimes it leaves wounds we never meant to cause. But it's not just the words we say to others. It's the words we whisper to ourselves. Your inner voice becomes your internal compass. And for many, that compass is broken. If your inner dialogue is full of criticism, doubt, and shame, no external affirmation can truly sink in. You'll dismiss every compliment. You'll question every win. You'll sabotage every opportunity because the script running in your head says you don't deserve it. Changing that script starts with awareness. Catch the moment you insult yourself. Pause when you belittle your effort. Replace "I'm such an idiot" with "I made a mistake and I'll learn from it." Replace "I'm so behind in life" with "I'm exactly where I'm meant to learn what I need next." The shift is subtle, but the impact is massive. When it comes to speaking to others, the rule is simple. Speak to connect, not to control. Speak to heal, not to harm. Say what needs to be said, but say it in a way that invites understanding, not defensiveness. If you're angry, speak your truth, but do it from clarity, not chaos. If you love someone, say it now, not when it's convenient, not when they've earned it. Now, and remember, silence is also communication. What you don't say matters. Holding back appreciation, failing to apologize, avoiding hard conversations. Those unspoken words echo just as loudly as the ones you say out loud. Choose presence over perfection. Intent over impulse. Your words become your rhythm. They define your leadership, your relationships, your legacy. And most of all, they define your relationship with yourself. Speak like someone who's growing, who's grounded, who knows their voice matters, because it does. Control your habits. Build the life you say you want. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. We say we want to grow, but we often wait for the motivation to magically appear. It doesn't. Motivation is a result of motion. You act first, then the feeling follows. That's what habits do. They bypass emotion. They build discipline. They automate progress. Your habits reveal your priorities more than your words ever will. You say you want peace, but you consume chaos all day. You say you value relationships, but you never unplug. You say you want to be healthy, but you treat self-care like a luxury. What you do consistently is what you truly believe matters. And most people overestimate what they can change in a week and underestimate what they can change in a year. Habits don't feel dramatic. They feel boring, but that's their strength, the small, repeated action that compounds silently. You won't feel different after one day, but keep showing up, and one morning you'll wake up in a reality that feels foreign. In the best way. The secret isn't to overhaul your life overnight. It's to identify one habit that aligns with who you want to become and do it daily. Make your bed, read one page, move your body, reflect for 5 minutes. These aren't hacks, they're declarations, micro acts of self-respect that signal to your mind, I'm building something better. Consistency isn't about perfection. You'll miss days, you'll fall off, that's human. What matters is how quickly you return. Real change is found in the return, in the decision to not let one bad day become a bad week, in the refusal to let a slip turn into a spiral. You build identity through follow-through. Each time you act in alignment with the future you cast a vote for that version of yourself. Eventually, your habits become your default. You no longer have to force it. It becomes who you are, the person who moves, the person who reflects, the person who follows through, and from there, your life begins to reflect the discipline you once had to fight for. The most powerful transformation doesn't happen all at once. It happens quietly when no one's watching, when you make the choice again and again to be someone worth trusting, worth following, worth becoming. Your habits are how you prove to yourself that you're serious about your future.